Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves. Welcome back to a brand new match preview on the channel. Hopefully you guys are keeping well and safe. We're here for the Wolves versus Crystal Palace preview. We're back at Molineux for some Premier League football this weekend. First time in a while. Can't remember the last time, a 3 PM on a Saturday, maybe Southampton was it? So it's quite a rarity these days having a home game 3 PM on a Saturday. But we're back, we're facing off against Crystal Palace, who of course beat us 2-0 earlier in the season at Selhurst Park. So we're hoping that we can get our revenge on them for that and hopefully get our season and possibly European push back on track. We've had a poor little run of results recently, the last 2 games in particular, losing to Arsenal and West Ham, so we're hoping Wolves can bounce back. But going to be giving my thoughts, the latest team news. We've got the Palace perspective later on in the video as well. And as always, guys, I want to hear your thoughts, so be sure to hit the like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But before we kick off, as always, it's another match day, which means another game with our partners over at BetMate. Be sure to check them out. You can enter the Talking Wolves game ahead of Wolves Palace with a link in the top of the description. A quick look at my team. I'll say provisional team because obviously you can change it right up until kickoff, really. I've gone with Jose Sarr in goal, Ryan Aït-Nouri at left back, not at left back, but in my defence alongside Mitchell. We got Michael Olise from Palace with Daniel Badence and Wilfried Zaha and Raul Jimenez. I'm backing Raul once again, but guys, be sure to get involved. I'm not very good at this game, so get involved. Show me how much better you guys are, but loads of Wolves fans have won loads of cash. As always, 18 plus, be gamble aware, and UK residents only on that one. But the performance at the London Stadium against West Ham on Sunday was really, really disappointing, as was the game about a week ago against Arsenal. I can't believe it's been a week already. It feels like this week has sort of just dragged, and when you don't win games, it gets a bit frustrating. And now you look at the table, a couple of these teams above us have got a nice little cushion on us. So the next run, throughout March, really, I think we've got 4 games in March, 4 games over the next 2 weeks. They're winnable games for Wolves, and we've got to make sure we're getting points in every single one of them, whether that be winning those or drawing those, because we've got Palace, we've got Watford, we've got Everton, and then we've got Leeds. In my opinion, games Wolves should be getting points from. But we weren't good enough against West Ham. Of course, Bruno made a huge amount of changes. The performance was very flat. The players didn't look interested. And that's to say, you know, West Ham weren't fantastic themselves, but, you know, they got an attack and took advantage of the opportunity. Some big news, actually, I was, you know, been wondering all day, really, in all the last week or so, is Nelson Semedo. I mean, quite an underrated player, I would say, for Wolves this season. Quite an undervalued player for Wolves, but offers so much for us going down that right-hand side. And, of course, came off injured with what is thought to be a hamstring injury against Arsenal last week. We saw Keanu Hoover come in for him on Sunday. And it's just been confirmed by John Percy, who is, of course, a very reliable journalist, who has said now Wolves wingback Nelson Semedo is reportedly set to be out, for 4 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury, which is huge. So the earliest return at best would be in early April after the internationals, which is going to be really, really frustrating and disappointing. Of course, we've got Johnny, who's just come back, but not going to be sharp enough. He's not going to be fit enough to be playing 70+ minutes right now. Keanu Hoover, young player who once again has not played a huge amount of minutes, played right at the start of the season when Semedo had COVID, has had minutes here and there, missed the FA Cup game against Sheffield United because he had COVID. That's Keanu Hoover. So he's not had the minutes. And I've got to say, I wasn't impressed, and people have seen on my social media, and if you've watched or listened to the podcast, you would know that I wasn't impressed with him, but I think he's going to start again. So this is a huge opportunity for him to put things right. Of course, he made, in my opinion, quite a pivotal mistake against Liverpool just before Christmas, which cost us the game, and he didn't have a great game against West Ham. So it's a huge chance once again for him if he starts, which I think he will do. Other team news, I think everyone else has got to come back in terms of full strength. Let's go over to my predicted lineup now in terms of how I think Bruno is going to start off and probably needs to start off with the players available. Jose Sarr, of course, once again in goal. A back three of Romain Saiss, Connor Cody and Max Kilman. Need those 3 to tighten up a little bit. Last 2 games, I think they've been off the pace just that little bit. I think we need to try and get them back to their best, especially in these next few games. Three home games, isn't it, out of these next four, which is going to be interesting. Left wing back, I think Aït-Nouri's got to return, guys. Ryan Aït-Nouri at left wing back. Keanu Hoover, obviously, at right wing back. It's a huge opportunity for him. Needs to improve, needs to impress. Ruben Neves and João Martini, I think, have got to return in the middle as well. And then the front three, I think it'll be Hwang, Raul Jimenez, and Daniel Pedence. If Bruno and the team can surprise me and start Pedro Neto, I would love that so much. But I think it's possibly just that little bit too early for him right now. Just been a couple of weeks since his return. But fingers crossed we start seeing him get a few more minutes, Neto, because whenever he's coming onto the pitch, he's looking energised. He's looking like he wants to attack and make things happen. So fingers crossed we can see him come into the side very, very soon. But guys, yesterday I spoke to D from the Back of the Nest channel, Crystal Palace fan, huge Crystal Palace fan. And we got his thoughts ahead of the game, ahead of Wolves versus Palace at Molineux this weekend. So guys, delighted to be alongside D from the Back of the Nest channel. D, how you keeping, man?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Coming off a massive win against Stoke in the FA Cup. So I'm happy. I'm happy right now. But on a weekend, that might change.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that, you know, there's a few teams that sort of outside the traditional top 6, 7 that are still in the FA Cup, you know, into the quarter-final now, which I'm sure for you guys is quite exciting. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Obviously, you boys beat us at Selhurst Park earlier this season. Quite a comfortable win for you, like one of our worst performances of the season, I'd say. But other than that game, how's life been under Patrick Vieira at Palace so far?
Life has been how it should be. Let's just say that. You bring in a new manager, bring in lots of new players. We've had some very good performances and some bad performances as well. We've had injuries. We've had the AFCON going on. So we missed some key players. Right now, as we're talking, we're sitting 11th in the Premier League in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Some may say that could be like an overachievement. I don't personally think so because I feel like we've got good enough players to go and progress, you know, as a club. But overall, it's been a transitional season, bringing in Vieira. So I've been happy with it. I've been happy with it. We're still in the cup. We're solid in the Premier League. And just hope that we can build on the small errors that have literally cost us so far this season. But I guess it's expected when you bring in a new manager.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you look at your performance in the league so far. You've only won the 6 games, but you've got 12 draws. So a lot of draws in there for you guys. What does Vieira and the squad need to do to change those draws into wins? Is it conceding silly goals? Is it not scoring enough goals? You know, what's the issue there?
Conceding last-minute goals, that's been a big issue. We're a big fan of that. I mean, we play decently until the last minute. And then even saying that, to be fair, I'm going to contradict myself. It's been consistent for the 90 minutes. That's what Palace have struggled. We've talked about it at times being a second-half team. And then recently we played good in the first half. It's about playing and keeping the intensity for 90 minutes, which we've struggled to do. And then type of things you can easily solve as it goes on. We've still got a young squad. We've got a young manager. And it's the fine margins right now that are costing us. And that's why we're getting more draws than wins. But there isn't one single thing that I can point out and say, all right, it's been last-minute goals. As soon as we solve that, it's all sorted. You know, at the start of the season, it was set pieces. Then it moved on to, I don't know, playing bad in the first half. Now it's last-minute goals. So it's a combination of fine margins that we just have to take out for a game. And if you look at the big clubs like Liverpool, it took them a while. And you're talking about Liverpool Football Club, a massive club, for Jurgen Klopp to go and, you know, change the squad around. So for Palace, it's normal. We've got them fine margins. But as long as we solve them, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. And we can look up the table rather than down the table. But right now, as we're going into this game, I'll say last-minute goals and being consistent for 90 minutes. That's our main issues, and that's why we can't win games.
Yeah, I think, well, we had that issue really with Nuno, where like the first 45 minutes, we just could not get going whatsoever. And we'd have to rely on our second half performances to get anything out of games. But and I remember sort of this time last year, I think when we were talking, as you know, as a Palace fan with Hodgson in charge, I think obviously lockdown and not being able to go to the stadiums didn't help. But you were sort of in the same position as us. You were just almost bored of the club and how things are going. Has that changed now? Are you more excited about Palace, more exciting to watch the football? I mean, I'm just looking at the amount of goals you've scored now. You've scored more than Brighton, Southampton, Wolves, more than Spurs as well. You scored one less goal than Arsenal. So, you know, you're putting the ball in the back of the net, aren't you? As a fan, that must be much more exciting to watch.
I've got a smile on my face all about Palace. Look, we're in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. Beforehand, under Roy, we went out. We struggled against likes of Grimsby, went out against Colchester, went out against Derby. We'll never
we beat
even
you as
get
well
this
last
far.
year. We beat you in the FA Cup, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just one of them things where we're doing well in the cup. And just if you're taking a step back and looking at Palace as a football club, we built a new academy site. Yesterday, we had an 18-year-old youngster who came on, and Vieira's giving the youngsters more opportunities. We're seeing, you know, the club trying to progress by building a new stand, which is still on hold, but there's more talks that we reach us slower and slower. We're getting there. We're going to build that new stand, which is going to improve our capacity. Overall, the football, for the majority of the time Vieira's been here, has been great. We're actually playing modern football. We're trying to play with the ball on the feet, trying to utilize our attacking players. Look, I am happy. I'm happy to where we were to where we are now. We are not in our final product, and I don't expect us to be, because changing the manager and bringing all these new players in, it is going to take time. But from what I've seen so far and what Vieira is trying to do and what the club is trying to do, I'm on board. I am on board, and hopefully next season and the season after that, we improve, and we become the club that we want to become, and try to aim for top 10, because we've been in the Premier League for about 10 years, and it requires a lot of, because it's going to be 10 years anyways, it requires a lot of investment to be that top 10 club, and it's not going to be easy, but we're trying to achieve it, and I can see us slowly progressing there, which we weren't doing under Roy Hodgson. And in all honesty, look at Watford right now under Hodgson. It's not the greatest of times. They lost 4-1 against us recently, and they managed to get a result against United. But look, as a football club, we have progressed. We brought in a new manager, new young players, and it's working out well so far.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, the young player side of things, I think Palace have done that quite well, especially over the last couple of years. Obviously, Eze's come in, Elise most recently. So as a club, you know, are you confident that long term, you know, if these players start to flourish even more, are you confident as a club and as a fan that you'll be able to keep these players? Or would you, you know, would you not be against Palace maybe making a huge profit on these players and just continuing this cycle of signing young players, bringing them up and then selling them on? Not exactly, obviously, as a fan, you don't want to be a selling club. But I suppose you can look at the situation of Zaha and feel confident that, you know, I'm sure he's had many approaches to leave Palace and obviously stay put.
Look, I think we want to become a selling club in a way. And we've realized it because we've had older players. We've had, I mean, last year under Roy Hodgson, our squad was one of the oldest in the Premier League. And we've seen the problems with it. These players, end of the day, yes, they are players, but they are assets to the club. And when you have older players that are turning, you know, 29, 30, and the average age of squad is nearly 30 years old, you can't sell them on, and they're on high wages. So it's not sustainable for a club like Palace. So we want to become that selling club, maybe bring in, you know, Elisa for £8 million. And there's already been, we brought him in for £8 million over the summer. There's already rumors of him being linked to clubs for around £50 million.
Wow.
Which is just great in itself. Let's say we, you know, Elise say £50 million. Mark Gahey, I think, is one of the most underrated defenders in the Premier League. He's absolutely solid. England youth international as well. And him, you know, if someone was to go and buy him right now, would easily make a profit. And we're talking about 6 months' time. So our recruitment has been great so far. And for clubs like Palace, we're not going to be able to generate. There's only so much income you can generate. As I said, building a new stand, that's going to help bringing more fans in. And it's about developing these players. So what we want to do is we built the academy site. We spent £20 million on it. We want to grow them players, and we want to bring in younger players and develop them into the full potential. Look, if Elise doesn't go for £50 million, we've got £50 million worth of player in our hands. So we're not losing either way. So it's a win-win. And that's what we're trying to do. And I like it. I like it because you have to have a mixture of experience and younger players, which we do have right now in the squad. Before, it was just experience. And trust me, it was not fun to watch.
And other player, I mean, he's done quite well for my fantasy Premier League, is Mr. Conor Gallagher as well. Only on loan from Chelsea. What do you think of the chances are that Palace will be able to keep hold of him this summer?
It's interesting. I don't think we've got a real chance. Maybe back out on loan. But with Conor Gallagher, look, people are saying he's been doing great at Palace, and 100% he has. He's been one of our better players all season long. But a controversial point that I want to say is I don't know if he's going to be the same player at Chelsea. And the reason for that is not Conor Gallagher's talents, but there's variety of reasons. First of all, the system at Palace helps him out massively. We allow him to be himself, what he wants to do, go and press, go back. Whereas I'm just seeing him, if he goes back to Chelsea, Tuchel's not going to change his system for Conor Gallagher. He's going to, if you don't fit in that system, then simply you're not going to play. And also, if he does fit in the system at Chelsea, they've got their ability. Well, right now, with all the things going on in the world, we don't know what's going to happen in the summer and who's going to be the new owner. But they've got the ability to go and buy them players better than Conor Gallagher. Regardless of how good Conor Gallagher is, there's better players than him. So
yeah,
I feel like he'll go back to Chelsea, but I don't know how long he will stay there, because I genuinely feel like he wants to show himself, which I feel like he's got the talent to do that. But I feel like one bad spell at Chelsea and it's not going to get the game time, and he's going to be sitting on the bench, and it can go easily wrong for him. But hopefully he goes back to Chelsea and it works out for him. But Palace, realistically, unless it's another loan, which I don't know why Chelsea would do that, I just don't see it happening, in all honesty.
How much do you think he would cost to sign him? 25, 30 million, or is that a bit too much?
I think that's low. I think
that's
low.
Okay, yeah.
When you look at the English player tax, that's a real thing. Look how much they value.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea, we're talking about around at least 30 to 40 million pounds. Right now for Palace, we're talking about Elise, Mark Gahey. We bought these players for around 15 to 20 million pounds, or even less than that. I don't see us spending 40 million pounds for Conor Gallagher. No. I just don't. And that's why I think if he's going to come back, it will be on a loan deal, or if he doesn't go well for him at Chelsea and his value drops. But right now, 20 to 25, that would be great. But I just don't see Chelsea doing it unless, with the circumstances they're in right now, with Abramovich potentially looking to sell the club. That's what the rumors are saying. If that's going to happen, maybe they want to get rid of him. Maybe like that, we have a chance. But if you're looking at the current situation with Chelsea's wealth and the players that they got, there's no need to sell him. He's a homegrown player.
Well, obviously, we mentioned quite a few players there as well. But from your point of view, D, who are the key players that Wolves fans have got to be looking out for at Molineux on Saturday?
When you talk about key players, you want to talk about
players that you think are going to cause Wolves the most trouble.
Elise for £8 million is one of the best deals in the Premier League season. Or like, forget about Palace. He is. I genuinely can't believe it. I really can't that we managed to get him for that cheap. On the ball, he's better than what Zaha was at that age.
Wow.
Tremendous potential. And we're looking at Zaha right now. He's made a good career of himself at Palace. He's just incredible. He's talented. He's got an IQ. He's silky. He can deliver good ball in the box. And if you're Wolves and you're not sending two players on Elise and he's on his day, he's unstoppable. And I think that's what you guys are going to do, because he is just brilliant on the ball. And talking about guys like Zaha, I think right now he's fighting for Zaha in terms of actually dribbling on the ball. So Elise is a shout. And I think one underrated player that I mentioned before, Mark Gahey in defence. Absolutely solid. Very good on the ball. Strong. Loves a challenge. And not many people dribble past him. So that's going to be a good challenge for you. You know what? It's going to be an exciting game, because both of our players, we've got some solid players. You got solid players in attack. We got solid players in defense. You also got good defenders. We've got good attackers. I'm expecting a good game once again. And, them two players do stand out for me if I had to pick them.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, I think obviously Palace have made a really good model from it. And I think in the modern game now, especially over the last few years, I think the players in the Championship can easily make this step up to the Premier League. Probably a lot more than we have seen before. I think West Ham have done it with the likes of Jared Bowen. You guys have done it with one or two players. And I think it's become a much more common thing. But like you say, £8 million for Elise. I knew of him or was aware of him when he was at Reading. But he's done a really good job of sort of adapting to the Premier League, which is great to see. Indeed, to the toughest question of the preview, what's your score prediction for Saturday?
I knew that was coming. It's the toughest question, because if we play like we did against Stoke, you guys will absolutely batter us. I don't know if you won 3-0 so far this season, because we're looking at your goals scored and goals, because you don't score that many goals. You don't see that many goals. So I'm expecting a whole different Palace side to what we saw against Stoke. We played a very strong team, but it was absolutely awful. Just trying to pass the ball, trying to play out from the back, trying to create chances defensively. So I expect a completely different Palace side. I'm going to go for 2-1 Palace. I'm changing it, because we don't win that many games. I'm going to go for 1-0. Realistically, 1-0. I can see it being a 1-0. We beat you at home and it was relatively comfortable, but I feel like you guys have got a point to prove, considering your last two performances as well. I think it's going to be a very good game, but I'm going to go for 1-0. I think it'll be tightly contested, but I don't know. I feel like we could win it on the day, but I think 1-0 is more realistic.
I think it's going to be a very, very tight game, like you say. I think it'll be close. Palace got, like I said earlier, a lot of draws, but scoring a lot of goals. And also, you know, we're not drawing many games. We've only drawn the 4 games this season, so it will be a very interesting game to see how it goes. But as always, Dee, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on Talking Wolves. I'll make sure I leave a link to Dee's socials, the Back of the Nest channel, and we will be doing a preview on his channel as well. So I'll be sure to leave a link on there. And yeah, all the best for the rest of the season, mate. Apart from obviously on Saturday. Thanks for having us. Cheers. No worries, man. See you later. So big thanks once again to D. You can check out his socials and the Back of the Nest channel in the description down below. I think, you know, my prediction is probably going to be a 1-1. Palace like to draw a lot of games, but if we can nick it, I think it's going to be a very close game. Probably a goal in it. If we can nick it, there'll be a big win for Wolves. And fingers crossed we can do so. Guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, be sure to check out BetMate. A link to that is in the top of the description. Alongside the brand new t-shirts over at talkingwolves.co.uk. We've got a brand new Pedro Neto and a brand new Ruben Neves t-shirt. Both really, really cool tops that you can go and check out. As always, though, guys, be sure to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And let's hope Wolves can grab us 3 points on Saturday. I'll see you then.